Unity is alive and well. Do you want me to drop a screen share? How is that? Mhm.
Hello, hello, hello. Can anybody hear me? Please confirm in the chat if you can hear me. Let's wait for somebody to be kind enough to say, yes, Jay, we can hear you. Your lovely, soothing voice. Let's see, loud and clear. Thank you. Actually, uh, big props to Jackless Gamer who has been waiting for 15 minutes for the stream. That means a lot, Jackless. Thank you so much for your patience and for waiting with us. So, today, it's probably the easiest stream I'll have ever done with Anything World. For those of you who don't know me, who joined recently, my name is Jay Santos. I am the Developer Relations Manager here at Anything World. And today, I will do nothing. Today, all of us are going to absorb teachings and knowledge and experience from somebody who works with game development and who is working on an exciting new project. But enough about it. Let's just allow our guest to introduce himself. So let's give a welcome to Oliver Walker. Hello, Oliver. How are you?
Howdy, Jay. Good to see you. Hello, everyone in the chat. I'm very well, thank you, and I really appreciate the warm and glowing intro. So, should I tell the audience a little bit about Native Karma and the project and what I do? Would that work?
Absolutely. Introduce yourself. Introduce Negative Karma. Tell us all about you.
Cool. Yeah, sure thing. So, hello, I'm Oliver Walker, otherwise known by my full title, Oliver William Walker. I am a game developer of going on sort of 10 years now. I've been doing it professionally for about five, six, coming up soon. I've worked on titles such as Minecraft Dungeons, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora over at Ubisoft, the Sniper Elite franchise, bringing it to VR, and most recently, I find myself at the studio behind Disco Elysium. But while doing all of these things, I always dreamed of running my own studio. And about a year ago, coming up to a year now, not shy of a year just yet, but coming up, me and a good buddy of mine were talking about a game we wanted to make, and we formed a studio to create that game. That studio is called Negative Karma, and we absolutely love retro infused, larger than life, bombastic games, stuff on the PS1 like Wipeout, Spyro, that kind of stuff. And this is the project that we're working on. It's called Supercart 64. I almost used the dead name for this project, which doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, we are making a super bombastic kart racing game, and yeah, we're going to show off some stuff today. This is super. It's kind of hot off the presses, as it were. Not much in terms of preparation. We're literally going to jump around some scenes, show off how we're doing some stuff. Like I can quickly jump into this scene. You can see some of our AI racers racing off into oblivion. So yeah, this is a very unfiltered, unflattering in some ways look at the project. But I'm more than happy to show it off in a raw format because I think games don't get shown off that way enough, and I think it's really useful. But yeah, that's a nice long ramble from me, Jay. So I'll hand you back the mic. Yeah.
Cool. You know, I've been working with. I'm not going to say I worked in game development, but I've been
Hmm.
working with in the games industry for about about 12 years now.
Hmm.
And one of my rules is I never shy away from a chance of being a fanboy. So I just wanted to say that I absolutely love Disco Elysium. It is amazing, fantastic, one of the finest games I have ever played, and that's not hyperbole. It is awesome. So yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
that's really lovely, glowing praise. And while I wasn't directly involved with Disco Elysium, I was a huge fan of the game, like so many people.
Hmm.
It's a real pleasure to be part of the studio with such amazing heritage. You know, lots of my colleagues are part of. We're part of that, and that's super cool. Yeah, but more about Negative Karma is what we're here for today.
Sure.
Um, yeah.
So tell us about so first of all, what's God? I should know that by heart, right? So what's what's the name of the game again? And
Supercard 64. Supercard 64.
Supercard 64. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And what's the game about? Give us a overview of the game and how gameplay is going to evolve. I understand that the game has been under development for a short period now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
tell us about what's the vision.
Yeah. So we've been going for about a month or so now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're feeling super positive about it. Super tight turnaround on the project overall, but the vision of the game is we want to capture that PlayStation 1 energy, that like larger than life, really bombastic, kind of anarchic, those classic PS1 adverts and, breakcore and that kind of thing. So these are some of our test environments as well, but that's the vision of the project. And I suppose one thing that's definitely worth mentioning is it's named Supercard 64 because of that retro infusion, but we also are going to have a multiplayer system with 64 players on the track. But yeah, that's a little bit about that, I suppose. Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's going to be more arcadey than simulation then.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we are leaning very heavily into arcadey, like pretty much as far as you can lean into that school of game development.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let me try. I'm going to try and set up. Jay has been other Jay. There's two Jays in our circle of creatives. We have Stream Jay, and then we have my business partner Jay as well. So Jay, business partner Jay, has been noodling with our player character.
Okay.
So I am going to try and get it set up for a quick race around. If not, we've got loads of level stuff we can show off, but
Sure.
It would be a shame if we couldn't show some racing,
So
especially considering
you mentioned the PlayStation 1 era
Oh,
as a reference, right? And
yeah.
so and the way I described it was more like in the feel of the game, like the larger than life, as you described, right? But it's also going to be in the graphics. Is it going to have that low poly, that generation look and feel?
So let me quickly show a little example. We have a lot of our stuff is very much work in progress. But on this track, you can sort of see some of that PS1 energy. We're bringing it into our textures. We have 3D models drawn from we're using the Anything World library for this project, and the asset browser. And these are all assets from the browser, but these have a custom shader on them that gives them this PS1 aesthetic, this gradient quality that I personally, I use this in a lot of projects, but in this one in particular, it's relevant because a lot of that old PS1 style imagery is drawn from. It's all drawn from these gradients, this lack of texture. They don't want to use a texture where possible. So we're going for this not quite flat color, but it's got this gradient across the model that creates a PS1 style and also something quite compelling. Right? If we look at this model here and we, grab the material and we chuck a road material on it, look at the difference, right?
Right.
It's just that simple shader. Taking it to the next level in quite a unique way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks that definitely looks much better than the original shader. It's
Hmm.
and you know it's always funny uh, to think about this PlayStation One era graphics
Oh yeah.
being being almost mentioned as retro already because they are from my teenage years, right? So it
Right.
can't be
Yeah. Yeah.
retro. Come on, I'm not that old. It's
Do you
funny.
know what? Like my version of that was when I was at Eject Res, and they had like the retro game section, but they
Hmm.
also had like an indie game section in the retro section,
Hmm.
and it was like Super Meat Boy and
Oh.
Fairs and Braid, and I was
Oh.
like,
Oh.
oh my gosh, like if that is considered retro, I am definitely aging.
Oh my God.
I know. That was a bit of a
Because
larger than life.
Fez and Super Meat Boy are featured in the indie game the movie. They're not that
Of
old.
course, yeah, yeah.
Come on.
I'm just quickly searching for a lead
Sure.
for my gamepad because I think Jay has hooked this up with gamepads.
In the meantime, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat in whichever platform you are, and I'm glad to pass them on to Oliver. I see that Vortex Lebelge said we need a yellow card with two black stripes for obvious reasons. Vortex, I don't know what reason that would be. Can you clarify it for me? And I don't know, yellow with two black stripes. The only thing that
Did we get any questions in the chat, Jay?
not yet, but so Vortex Labelge is saying that we need a yellow card with two black stripes for obvious reasons. I can't understand what would be the obvious reason. Can you?
What was the question? Sorry, Jay.
No, it's not a question, but Vortex said that we need a yellow card with two black stripes for obvious reasons. I can't think what the obvious reason
Oh,
would be.
it's Transformers, right? It's Bumblebee.
Ah, yeah, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Let's wait for Vortex to confirm in the chat. So you mentioned that game's gonna be multiplayer, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's
And
right.
what technology are you planning on using for multiplayer?
I would love to give you a really cool. Whoa, we got some music on this track. This is Jay's actual test track. Let me just adjust my
Oh,
Unity.
Vortex. So Vortex replied, said it was. I was more thinking about Driver San Francisco Dodge Challenger. Is
Oh,
that?
okay, that's funny. So,
Ah,
yeah, it's worth mentioning. So, like, I have. Let's just say, without going into specifics, Driver is a very close franchise for me.
I never played Driver. Shame on me. And I like
Yeah, I mean, hey, not enough people play Driver San Francisco, I
and
must
I
say.
and I and I like racing games. I mean, there's no reason why I never played it. It's just never. I don't know. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So I cannot work out what my programmer Jay at Negative Karma has done to the character controller. So we're going to focus on levels for this
Sure,
stream.
that's okay. I mean, Jays are always messing stuff up, man.
I know, true chaos, true chaos. Let's see if we can just show off. I'm just gonna pull
So,
the game.
why you look for a level? I was going to ask you about multiplayer because
Yeah, please do. You were talking about the technology, right?
yeah, because multiplayer has always been a controversial subject within Unity, right? There's back in my Unity days, there was not really a good technology stack for multiplayer, so you always had to resort to external tools
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like Photon or any other. But from my understanding, there is a new multiplayer stack within Unity, and I was just
I
wondering
mean,
if you.
well. I mean, you're correct. There is no, there's with Unity, like many engines, like you're basically in the Wild West with multiplayer.
Mhm.
With peer-to-peer stuff and server hosting and that kind of things. I'm no expert when it comes to multiplayer engineering, but fortunately, my business partner is. So JXP, who is my business partner, he was part of the networking team for Minecraft Dungeons and Rust, so he
Yeah.
really knows his stuff. Yeah, he's really, really solid.
Okay. So you guys are writing your own technology then?
Yeah, we will be. Yes, exactly.
Wow. That's yeah, that's quite a task. So
Yeah,
so
but we've
so
got.
so, so
Go ahead,
somebody
sorry.
somebody on the chat named Negative Karma Dev, which I was going to assume is Jay, asked, just got out of my meeting. What did I break?
Jay, yeah, if Jay in chat, could you tell, like, why is the character controller busted? Ask Jay. I cannot for the life of me work out why. It's like that no input is registering, Jay.
Okay, so Jay in the chat, you heard Oliver. I
Negative
hope.
karma, Jay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll check. I'll check. 1 minute. Booting PC. Okay. So let's wait.
Jay is probably gonna push like a live fix to this, which would be very funny.
That's gonna be brilliant. So Gordon is asking if you can drive as a giraffe.
Yeah, you actually will be able to. So, if I jump into the model browser, and you've embarrassingly watched me spell. Oh, giraffe is right there. Excellent.
How convenient.
Yeah, we're just going to drop that in, right, into our scene. And I'm actually gonna cheat this so badly, but we're gonna do it live.
Of course. What can go wrong when you develop live, right?
Game dev is like a remarkably difficult thing to do live, but we'll do it anyway.
Sure.
So our like motif for the game is all of the creatures, all of the carts are actually going to be creatures with their own different stats and stuff, and then effectively you'll get 5 random carts or creatures for racing, and once you pick which creatures you want to bring into a round, they all have limited lives. So if you lose your giraffe in the first round, you're 1 life down and you've lost that creature. So there's like a meta game around creatures you're bringing into the cart. That's kind of like our meta game secret sauce to the project.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Just going to drag this in, and I'm going to turn off the cart.
And have you considered the aerodynamic implications of having a giraffe driving a car?
Well, I don't know about the aerodynamics, but we certainly have considered the racing stats.
We just say that the giraffe is going to race at breakneck speeds.
I would say.
Sorry, I'm
very good. Sorry. Very good, Jay. Yeah, I would say so. I would say Mach 7 for the giraffe.
I am very sorry about the breakneck joke.
I don't know. I'm kind of here for a cheeky pun.
A man of culture. I see.
Right, you know.
Yes. Great. So Negative Karma Dev, aka Jay, says controller works on my side. Push some changes which might fix it. So there you go.
Okay, right. Let me.
Sanjulane 2 asks, "What's your best game dev tip to get started? Why you sort out controller?" I'm going to reply that one, and then you can give your assessment. Mm-hmm. So when I first started playing around with Unity, what I did was I followed a tutorial for a specific game. In my case, it was a 2D platformer game, and that taught me the basic concept behind Unity, right? What's a game object, what's a scene, what's a prefab component, scripting, and then what I did is I picked up a very basic, simple game that I wanted to develop, and I created that game. Right? So that's how I got started on game development, specifically in Unity. What about you, Oliver? What do you suggest for Sandlane?
So was the question how to get started, or what my journey was?
A game dev tip to get started.
To get started, don't focus too much on technology. Focus on, in my opinion at least, to focus on the creative side of things. Unless you want to be an engineer and the tech is something you're really interested in, go for that. But for me, The thing I always recommend is, a really famous game design exercise. A lot of universities will teach this. Is you'll take noughts and crosses, tic-tac-toe. You'll take that game and you'll say, okay, change one rule for me. Change one rule in this game, and how does that impact the play experience, right? Maybe you make the grid bigger. Maybe you make it 3-player, right? Changing a single rule, and you see how much of an impact that can make. That's truly what making games is about. For me, as a designer, right? Design is about complex experiences and really breaking them down into that emotive quality, right? You can even take that same exercise and say, okay, we're going to take noughts and crosses. I want you to make it frustrate the player. And these design exercises, these are really how you train as a designer, especially early on. And these are the foundational skills that will serve you creating digital games. I could talk at length about that question, but for me, if you want to be a designer, really do consider and focus working on aspects of the game that are truly about the player experience, right? Maybe a Unity skill is great, and it is amazing to be able to prototype. That's how I got my start. But really don't neglect those core theory skills around game development. That would be my advice. And yeah, I think game development is a phenomenal career. Even in these scary times, there's no other life path for me. If we were going to take the Cyberpunk 2077 analogy, my life path is Netrunner, game developer, and I wouldn't. There's no other choice for me. So hopefully that helps. Yeah.
I mean, it was great that you've answered as well, because I didn't. I mean, I am a programmer, and I automatically I replied the answer. I replied the question with the perspective of a game programmer, somebody that is worried about the technical side, and it's great.
Look at that! We've got a giraffe driving.
Yay! And it's great that you've added this design perspective. That was amazing, and I hope Sandy liked the answer.
Yeah, no trouble. There can be. The reason I answered that way, Jay, is because there can be, especially in games education institutions and such, there can be a huge focus on 3D modeling or engine skills, and those are great. But if you're really, really good, if you sort of learn the basics of Unity without a solid foundation in your in design theory,
mm-hmm.
I think you're going to struggle to make really exciting, innovative games. I'm a bit old school as well. For example, tutorial is what I would call an onboarding experience, right? Because that's my era of games schooling and stuff. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling, but
No, not at all. Not at all. You said something that I think describes me pretty well. The technical foundation without the game design. Because that was me, right? I studied computer sciences. I then have read about game design, but
mm-hmm.
I mean, I am far from being a novice on game design, and I feel like when I try to think about, I want to make a game, and I feel like that skill set, I miss that skill set, And
It's easily done. It's easily done, and some people focus more naturally on the technology side as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant. Nice. Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
So the giraffe is working then?
Yes. Look at that. So Negative Karma J, or JXP as I like to call it. This was his suggestion for how we handle creatures, and now seeing it in game, I'm literally like, well, we have to do this. It's just got this really like I was saying, we've got this sort of brief or design goal of larger than life and bombastic, and it just looks so ludicrous. It looks silly. It's so silly, but it's very captivating. It's like it draws your attention, you can't look away, and I love that. Let me see if I can get player working.
If I may be so bold as
of course, Jay, please do
provide an animal suggestion to you.
Oh yeah.
When I was so last year, I was Jermaine and I were developing like this vertical slice of a game.
Yeah,
It was it was called the Seagull game, which is a Katamari like game where you fly a seagull, and the seagull would eat stuff, and the more stuff the seagull ate, the bigger it got, and to the point that it ate humans and buildings and everything else. And as we were building the level, we found on the Anything World model gallery, we found this chicken, and it's a chicken that is sitting on a school desk,
Mm-hmm.
and the chicken is trying to solve advanced calculus. So it is, uh, I don't know, it is quite a fascinating model. I'm gonna send it on the chat, and Negative Karma J can check it out and register my suggestion. I would love to see this chicken driving a cart. Oh, and the seagull game. In the seagull game, this chicken was driving a lawnmower. So you know, she was on a school desk on a lawnmower. It looked fantastic. I mean, it's beyond description. Yeah, if you look for chicken, the name of the model is Chicken Lessons. Oh, there you go. I just passed it. That's the one. Chicken Lessons.
Oh, here you go. Cool.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
great.
that one. Yeah, check it out. I hope you like it. I hope you put it in the game. It's
Yeah, I'm putting this in immediately. Look
I
at that. How could you, how could you,
mean,
what more could you want? Like, that is just,
yeah, I know, right? It's I don't know. I kind of like it.
if that is part of the royalty-free stuff, we will 100% use that as a racer. Like,
Fantastic. I'm so glad. See,
it's awesome. It's absolutely
and
awesome.
if you look underneath the desk, there are gum stuck to it, and so for
That's true signs of an artistry.
for that touch of realism,
Oh yeah. Let's get it in. Let's get this in.
So Jekyll has asked a question that, as we were talking about, my struggle as a purely technical person to put a game together. I suffer with this greatly. So Jekyll has asked any advice on how to find the art style or aesthetics when prototyping a game.
That's
So
great.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
great question. Did you want to answer that, Jay?
No, I was just going to share my experience as a
Mhm.
non-designer programmer when prototyping. I just what I do is a mishmash of several sources. So so the last game I've worked for a reasonable amount of time on my free time was oh god, what was the name? There was this Nintendo game called Mad TV, which is like a top-down shooter. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but anyway, so it's a top-down shooter. So I wanted to have a person from the top, and then I wanted walls and weapons, and I was just grabbing things from here and there and just putting together this aesthetic monstrosity that would just look horrible. So that's what I did, but your suggestion.
I'm really fortunate in that I have a background in fine arts. So I was, I did a lot of watercolor and drawing and stuff in high school, and that was my foundational skills. So bringing that into game development, naturally, visuals weren't something that I struggled with too much. But I think when you are addressing visuals, really think about the simple things that you can add. So let's take this scene, for example. Just going to quickly throw some stuff into this scene, and show you what one potential solution for something like this could be. So playing with the shapes, right? Immediately, you've got to think like what these shapes are going to say to the player, right? They've got this like huge scale. They're quite orderly, so maybe we want to break that up a bit. And let's just grab all three of these, jump into our materials folder, and we can chuck on. I'm actually going to be really cheeky and put in a new material for you, just so that we're not reusing the colors. So chuck that material on. So this is our gradient material from earlier. And even without changing the colors, we're already we're already creating like an environment that feels fresh and interesting simply because of the colors and the shape language, right? When you're making small games and prototypes, you have to rely on these things. So another thing you can really rely on is post-processing and lighting. So let's just jump into our lighting, right? So we've got these kind of pastel oranges and blues. So let's have a play around with what works with that. So we're going to just sort of put the intensity up a touch. And then even like that, even like changing it to the orange, it creates a very different feeling in the environment. Or we could go for a cool blue, right? This sort of midnight blue. And let's jump into game now to see how it looks in game. Instantly like that, right? Like literally just me messing about and being silly, right? And, doing it live, right? Not taking any time or care. You can see that we're developing a visual style just like that, like straight away. So ask yourself, what is the quickest and most efficient thing I can do to create an environment that feels different, that feels fresh? I'm actually going to scale up the chicken just for the lols. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. And yeah, if it doesn't, please feel free to ask more specifically in the chat. But yeah, I love visuals. I'm a designer. I'm a level designer by trade. But sometimes you just want to. Sometimes the visuals can be a huge boost to a prototype. Just like this chicken.
Yeah, I look at that chicken, man. That's amazing. No, that was a brilliant answer. I know I learned something out of it. It's great, and I felt as you were tinkering with the models and the lighting and the materials, I felt like I was watching an episode of The Joy of Painting. Bob Ross.
Hey, that's wonderful praise. I really appreciate it.
No, I'm serious. It's amazing. And
well, let's see if we can take it a step further then. Let's just jump into one of my favorite aspects of a project, which is the post-processing. Post-processing is one of the easiest things you can do to make your projects sing. Let's see. Yeah, so the post-processing stack is no longer supported. It's definitely got a different name. Let me see if it's in our project. Jay might be able. Negative Karma Jay might be able to help me out in channel if it's not.
Assets/settings.
Assets/settings. Cool.
Is the package in the project already? I think you need to add the post-processing package.
Yeah. Apparently it doesn't exist. Do you know the name of it by any chance, Jay?
Let me check. Oh. Oh, there you go. Assets, settings, URP, default volume.
So the package is called... Okay, cool. We've got it.
Got it? Cool.
Yeah. This is like I won't turn this into like an Oliver William Walker versus Unity rant, but there are certain aspects of Unity that really frustrate me, and the deprecated packages is what I'm not gonna. This is it. We're not gonna unbox this like my Unity frustrations. I like Unity. I think you can make amazing stuff in Unity. There are certain aspects of it that frustrate me though. But that's true for almost every piece of commercial game engine software. Like there's no perfect engine, right? You just pick.
It's and I guess I'm not gonna say every single criticism, but I would say most of the criticisms of Unity come from a place where you want to see the tool getting better. It's like it's I don't know. As you said, sometimes Unity makes us feel like bashing our heads in the wall.
Yeah.
But but it's great. It's amazing.
I mean, it's powerful. Like
exactly.
We for our project, right? It's huge. Like it's so powerful. And Jay and I, JXP over at Negative Karma, we've been working with Unity for years. Like we've got between us, we've got almost 20 years experience using Unity, and it's a really fantastic engine. And there's a lot I love about it. And especially as a teenager using Unity,
Yeah.
like 16 years old, like getting into game dev, like it was awesome. And you can't, and even with the frustrations I have with it, you can't take that away.
No,
Um,
no, no, yeah. No, absolutely.
okay, so yeah, we're gonna do.
So
We're gonna
while you set up post processing, I'm gonna tell,
Yes,
this thing you told about Unity. I have this anecdote. I like to tell about my experience with Unity. I was like,
please do.
so I graduated in 2002, and I out of college I started working with game development for mobile devices, and that's pre smartphones. So it was those clamshell phones, and uh, the first game that I worked on, it was like, so the game was this mixture between Pong and football. So you had like this circular pitch, and both the player and the goal would move in the circumference of the circle, right? So you as the player, you had to keep the ball inside the pitch, and the ball would bump on you like you were a pong battle, and you have to direct it into the goal. And I mean, it seems pretty straightforward and simple, right? But the thing is that there was, with the libraries that we're using, there was no, the library couldn't automatically calculate how the ball would bounce. Like, if the ball bounces like this, at this angle, the player's at this angle, it should go this way. I had to do that math by hand. It was like I literally spent 2 days coming up with the formula that would calculate the correct bounce of the ball on the paddle. It was madness. It was crazy. And then cut to like 2012 when I first started messing around with Unity, and I heard about it, and I said, okay, let's see if I can remake this game, that I had so much problem in the past. And when the Unity physics engine just calculated the bounces for me immediately, I was just like, oh my god, it's this is beautiful. This is poetry. I don't have to do these things by hand anymore. This is amazing, And that was the moment when I fell in love with Unity, and I still think it's amazing because it does things like that, right? It just, yeah, of course, throw a ball on a wall and I'm gonna calculate how it bounces. Sure, I mean, that's what I do, and that's how I got into Unity. So you are setting up the post processing effects. What do you got going there?
Allegedly. Yeah, this is. We're not going to do Unity frustrations today, but there is some setting somewhere that I'm missing, and
Ah, right.
I think it's because they've changed the stack again. So now it's like it needs. I think I need to put it into like
Going project settings and look for post processing.
yeah, I think you're right.
I had the same problem recently, and I see that you've enabled the camera, and there is some.
Yeah, it's somewhere in here. It needs to go somewhere in here.
I think it's somewhere in the project settings, if I recall correctly.
In project settings.
Jay is saying that they use volumes now, but I think you set the global volume, right?
Yeah, I have set global volume. Let me actually. Do you know what? Maybe Jay's right. Jay's usually right. Actually, Jay's basically always right. I'm always bothering him for this sort of thing. Let me.
You just need to expand the volume to cover the level as well.
Yeah.
I think Jay's saying that post process turns off the camera. I think I've seen the checkbox, and
the post processing is not. Jay, it's not. I did that bit. Trust me, Jay. Please.
Next step is Jay asking if you try
turn volume, right? Global.
If you try turning it off and on again.
Is that done it? I think that's actually done it.
Really?
Hold on. Let me try. I think that has. Yeah.
There is an.
Let me see. Bloom. Give me the vignette. No. Oh, Unity. I love it when you update the features that I use.
That, as you try to set up, I just want to say to the people in the stream that we do have. So, as we were working on the Seagull game that I mentioned, we had a session dedicated to post processing where I went over all the post processing options in Unity, but but again, not being an artist, my approach to post processing is similar to is similar to Homer's makeup shotgun. I enable a post processing effect, just crank it up to the max, just so that I can see the result, and then I try to soft touch it, and I think we got a pretty good result, and I think the cool thing about post processing is that it allows people like me that are not artistically inclined to give a very nice look to a project. And I remember that one of the issues with the Seagull games that for some reason our sky was kind of green or something like that. It was pretty weird. But then only using post processing, I managed to set the sky to this beautiful blue, added a touch of bloom, some distortion. It looked great. It looked pretty good, And I can only imagine what post processing can do in the hands of somebody competent as you.
Post processing is Unreal. Like, it's so good.
I never tried post processing in Unreal.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, even though Unity's post processing is, because I could debug this usually, like if I was by myself.
Sure. Yeah, no.
It's a nightmare. But a really good example of this sort of thing that you can do is using your skybox and your lighting, right? These are both hugely effective tools. So let's turn this to sort of like a midnight purple, and let's drop, I think the orange is working quite well, and then let's sort of turn up the blue a touch, for the ground color. You can see that coming in a little bit. Can you? No, you can't.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and then you've got stuff like this, right? How much of a gradient you want. So look at the contrast that we can create with just this gradient, right? Again, we've talked about gradients today a couple of times, but the power of these tools is really, really special. And this is stuff you can do as an indie dev to really set your project apart.
Let me ask.
Look at this sort of variation you can create, right? So let's say we were doing like a hell level. Everybody loves a hell level, right? So you could do something like this, or whack it over to the blue again, or the purple if you want something more, more soothing and refreshing that way. You've even got settings for your stars, right? So you can change the intensity of how bright the stars are. Let's whack that right up, and we're going to sort of increase the size again. Really crank some of these, and this is all possible when you know the basics of Unity, and you're using packages and plugins effectively, right? Do not feel like you have to be creating everything bespoke and from scratch as a games creator. It's super, super refreshing to create this way.
Yeah, no, and again, it is an easy win in the aesthetics department, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry about post processing right now. I mean, we're gonna do more of. Actually, post processing is working, isn't it?
I don't think it is. It's the base. It's like Unity's base post processing is kicked in.
Okay.
Do you know what? If I can find the base post processing profile.
Let me just ask you a question. I noticed that there are like moving clouds in the sky, right?
Oh yeah.
What are these? So have you guys created that? Is that the skybox? What are these?
This is all baked into our skybox. So look, we can turn them on and off.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
We can chuck fog. I love fog. I absolutely love fog. Let me just see again. Like, this is a really cool example of like how can you how you can create like mood in your environment. See, now we've changed the whole feel of the level with just the fog, right? Mm-hmm. Like turning it on and off, just like that. Like even when I'm not being serious, like trying to get the results that I'm looking for shipping a product. Even when I'm demoing it like this and messing about,
Sure.
You can see the value that these things create.
No, definitely, for sure.
Drop the height of the clouds, have them super low, and maybe we want to give them like a weird color, right? Let's put them, like they look great in the midnight purple,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe we drop them to like, look like a red, right? And like again, like this is what indie dev is about. It's about like what can you use, what can you do quickly, what can you get results with, and this is kind of been my my sort of secret sauce for a really long time. I'm just going to turn down that flicker.
And allows you to focus on the game itself, right? On what makes your game stand out in terms of mechanics or gameplay, right?
Yeah.
So
completely.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, you described your background and your focus on game design, and what to you personally, what is the most difficult and challenging aspects of the game development process that you get involved, right?
Yeah. That's an awesome question. It's difficult for me to say in a lot of ways, but things that I find challenging that I don't always enjoy. I'm a scripter, not an engineer, so I can do prototyping or little silly scripts to show programmers what I want, but I could never architect my entire system. Like I don't understand programming patterns, for example, or how to network a project. That's kind of like a base answer to that question, but I really like that question. But I think the things that I really struggle with, like holistically, as someone that's been doing this professionally for like 5-6 years, it's hard. It's quite relentless as a job. For example, I post every day on TikTok game development content. I work a day job. I run my own business. I teach for, I'm involved with 3 universities and I teach for 2. And I love working, but it's still, it's a very, it's relentless sometimes. And it's difficult to switch off. It's difficult to take a break. That's my like maybe not so joyful answer to that question, but it's I don't know if you find that, Jay. What do you think?
No, I think it's so to me to me it's definitely the artistic / design part, simply because it's something that I don't know how to do and I have no control over, so it frustrates me, I used to have the same perception that you have, that like in the programming side I need to follow frameworks and best practices, and and but I kind of with time I let go of that a little bit, so it's I think nowadays I feel like it's the priority is to make it work, and then you can improve on that, especially on my personal projects, right? Like I was talking about this top-down shooter I was working on, and I spent hours upon hours thinking about the design of the weapon system, so I could easily create hundreds of weapons instead of worrying about actually firing a weapon in the game and make the experience of the player to fire a weapon and see the result and have sound effects and have particle systems and have impact, which in the end is much more important, right? It's the player doesn't care if you have the super refined weapon system or if you have 200 different classes, one for each weapon. As long as firing a weapon is fun, that's all that matters, right? And
You're dead on there, Jay. Like I think it's very easy in game development to, lose yourself in things that aren't important to the final experience, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very, very, very easy to do that. I think you can have a little guilty pleasure. Like for me, on this project, like let's jump around some of the scenes just while we're wrapping things up. Like we needed tracks, right? But instead I built this like hilly track, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't necessarily, it's actually quite usable, but it's not the best thing for the project right now.
Sure.
It takes a level of dedication and commitment to work on features in the project that are important to the game, right? Because sometimes you just want to do something fun. Sometimes you just want to, do something that's a little bit indulgent, right? And that's okay to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
but really try and have that diligence of like what is best, what is actually going to be best for the player experience, what is going to make the biggest possible impact.
Right.
Right. Always be looking for that. Always be looking for that.
Well said. So one last question to wrap things up. Jackless, our MVP today, has been waiting for us for a long time. He asked, how do you see AI affecting indie development, whether for better or worse? This one bothers quite a few people, I know. Yeah, it's AI. It's a very touchy topic, and understandably so. So what's your perspective on AI, especially for indie dev like Jackless asked?
Yeah, it's a big question, but there are certain things that let's say I needed a walk cycle, right? And how would I have done that traditionally as an indie dev? You probably would have used Mixamo, right? But with tools like Animate Everything, you're not necessarily taking that work away from another artist, right? It's a really complex and difficult subject to talk about. Overall, I'm not a fan of a lot of AI tech and tools. I think they do pose a threat to entry-level work, but there are certain cases where it is where using an AI tool is not the end of the world. But yeah, to it's quite a big question. But in the context of indie devs, I don't agree with, for example, instead of creating bespoke art, and hiring an artist, AI generating that, because you are effectively generating from other people's work and not crediting them or paying them financially. So it can be a real challenge. It's a tough question to end on, because it's not extremely black and white as many people would potentially say it is, because I don't think it is. But yeah, I think it's a tough question to answer, and I hope that gives you some thoughts or some direction on the answers you're searching for. But to summarize an answer to that question, it's not simple, it's not black and white, it's complicated. There are cases where it's okay, and there are cases where it just isn't. So hopefully that guides you on your little your quest around AI and indie game dev. Hopefully that helps a little.
And the crazy thing is that it is an extremely new technology that evolved really, really fast. Well, I mean, new in the sense of easily accessible to a mass amount of people, right? We're talking about what, a couple of years tops, right? And so it takes time for everybody to digest and understand what's going on. My perspective is, I think I mentioned that a couple of times on streams, is that I can see some AI tools doing something similar to what the game engines offer to you. So, for instance, you have played around with the Unity lighting system, right? Unity provides you with this lighting system out of the box. You didn't have to create it yourself, right? So Unity took this challenging aspect of creating a lighting system that works and works well enough in terms of performance to be used in your game. It took it out of your plate, so you can focus on making the lighting beautiful, right? And that is I think that is pretty positive. Same goes with physics engines or post-processing, and etc. etc. I see that some tools, and And I honestly say that as a developer, not because I'm an Anything World employee. I do believe that a system that automatically rigs your models for you, I think it's akin to the lighting system within the game engine. You know, it's something that helps you by taking away a repetitive task from your hands, so you can focus on creating your own animations or your own interesting content work. I don't know. That is my perspective. But yeah, it's early days.
Yeah.
We're going to see beautiful, beautiful tools that use AI. We're gonna see horrible stuff using AI, and I guess we just have to wait and see for now. There's not a lot we can do. Oliver, thank you so much for your time. That was one of the most pleasant streams that we had, for sure. Um, would you like to tell our audience where we can find more about Negative Karma, about you, where they can learn more about?
Yeah, sure thing. You can always find me on Twitter. I refuse to acknowledge the new name yet. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Oliver Game Dev. If you want more Negative Karma stuff, you can get us on our LinkedIn, which is just Negative Karma. And if you're interested in more of me in a more informal setting and kind of just all of my game dev content, that's all on TikTok. I post every single day. And that is Oliver William Walker, just my name. So yeah, hopefully you got something out of the stream, those of you that have been hanging out. And look forward to coming on again next time, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, amazing. And next time, let's do a post processing special.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be
Yeah.
really great. Let's do that. Sounds awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody. Special thanks today to Negative Karma Dev, which is, I'm assuming, is JXP, for the technical support, and Jackalus Gamer for being here from the beginning and for the brilliant questions. Now, I'm just going to hop on Anything World Context. Again, thank you everybody that joined. On the screen, you can see our link tree. There you can find our Discord. We're having daily conversations on Discord about different game development topics, so join us. And also to learn more about what Anything World is preparing. We have a couple of very great announcements coming really, really soon. So join us on Discord. You can find our TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn on that link tree as well. On this QR code on screen sends you to our Discord. And if you have any questions and would like to learn more about Anything World, feel free to email me at j@anything.world. Thank you so much, everybody.